Welcome to Management 111 Online Introduction to Business offered by Harper College in Illinois. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. We'll be utilizing a course management system from Blackboard and McGraw-Hill's Connect and Learn Smart within this integrated software within this session. Okay, what do we have this week? Last week we did the SWOT analysis on your own personal business or your feasibility business or product line that you'll be starting. And we also looked at the strengths and weaknesses of your competitors. You're going to take, when we went through the forum, what you found out that I was looking at utilizing some of your strengths, the strengths on your business into a marketing campaign or into a promotional campaign that we'll be covering in the next couple of chapters. So this week what you're going to look at is how much the price for my a product or service, or the image or the pricing for my business. When I look at the pricing, what you'll find out going through the chapter, let's go right into the chapter 14. So let's look at the PowerPoints. Open up the PowerPoints, look at the concept maps. I have the concept map for the chapter 14. So pricing. How much I charge for my product or my service is depending on the quality that I want, the image of the business that I want to portray. So I'm looking at the value added. As a consumer, there's two types of pricing schemes. One is for when I'm dealing with business to business. The price is not the main item. They're looking at it to meet my specification of quality. But in this chapter, let's just talk. Most of you will be your target customers. You'll be in the retail business and you'll be selling the products to the everyday consumer, residential type of consumer, not to the business to business. So as a consumer, when I look at pricing, I'm looking at how much value, added value. So you're going to look at the added value. You're going to look at, let's see, your total product offering. How much is my whole product? Because if I buy an iPhone or an iTablet, I'm not only buying the iPhone or iTablet, I'm buying the company's image, the reputation, the services, any kind of a warranty guaranteed. So that would be the whole total product that I'm looking at for the pricing. So that's how most consumers will look at it to make the decision, saying, oh, I'm lacking this, I want something to help me overcome this deficiency, whether into my own personal life or something that I'm lacking. So you're looking at the total product offering. Now, in a pricing, you're going to have various different pricing. Right now, we're just going to do like a generic price when we go into the forum, but most businesses fall into a product mix. If I look at Staples, their products mix is basically office supplies. But within that product mix, they'll have different product lines. They have a whole product lines that have different kind of paper supplies. They have a whole different product line that have all kind of computer supplies. They have a whole different product line that have all kind of what do you call it, printer supplies. So you have different product lines within a product mix, and each one of the different product lines, they have different markup or different cost structure that will complement the rest of the other products that you're carrying within the product mix. So make sure you know the difference between a product line and product mix. You talk about product differentiation, what makes my product different over my competitors. So that's what you're trying to find out, because if a customer is going to try to buy your product or pay a little bit more because of that difference of your product, it could be quality, it could be because you offer more colors, it could be more of the pricing. Most products come in good, best, or better, so you have a different pricing scheme. Whatever it is, what makes your product stand out? It could be the uniqueness, or it just could be like every other product, but then but the pricing, if I buy more, I have a better pricing scheme on that. So then you're going to have to how to classify. You talk about classifying different consumers, and different consumers are different pricing. So if I'm looking at industrial consumer, I may pay a little bit lower pricing to that consumer, to that business, but I know that he or she's going to be a repeat customer because they're using my product as a component within their products. Okay. Now, convenience products. If you look at the pop machines, everything else, I can buy a pop someplace else. Buy 6 pops on sale for maybe $4. But if I go into the vending machine, because the convenience right there, it's cold and everything else, I could pay anywhere from $1.25 to $2, depending on the location and what's surrounding. So a lot of times the convenience, I want it right now. So I'll pay a little bit higher pricing, and I don't really give it much thought. I'm thirsty, and here it is. I'll pay the additional pricing. Okay, and then shopping goods is one that you're looking at. I'm shopping to buy computers. So now you're doing a little bit more investigating. So your prices are a little more, the margins, you're paying a little bit more. So your margin may be a little less, but the customer's more conscientious of the pricing. And especially good if I'm looking for a fur coat, or if I'm looking like for a specialty car. I understand there's a smaller pool of suppliers, but they're very niche to a specialty item. I understand I have to pay a higher cost. If I'm a taller individual, like some people are doing, the tall women just open up. That's a specialty type of good because I'm taller. So I kind of expect if they have different variety, I expect that I'll be paying a little bit higher prices. Okay, packaging. Remember, in consumer goods, packaging is my salesperson. In a business to business, packaging is more to secure and protect the component coming to me. Okay, so understanding branding. If I look at branding, if I look at a brand, like I said, for Apple, I pay a higher brand than if I pay for Samsung. And the components and everything else equivalent, the functionality is all about the same or equivalent, but I'm paying higher for the brand name because look, I got an Apple iPad, not a Samsung Galaxy tablet. You see the difference on that. Okay, so product development process, what we're doing now, you're into idea generation, product screening, product analysis. That's the first few steps you're doing in your feasibility. You're looking at, is this a good idea? Can we make the money? Who's my competitors? How much should I charge for the product? And now after you have all that, then the next chapter is going to look, what is the pricing? What is the expenses? Now I have the product, I have everything else. Could I make it at a lower expense to still make a profit on it and meet my profit margin that's established by the company or me as an individual business owner? Look at the product life cycle. In a product life cycle, when you find out with not only for a product, but a business goes through a product life cycle. So if I'm looking at an introduction, if I bring in a new product that has not been in the market before competition comes in, I could charge a higher cost to those innovative type of individuals that wanted to be the first one on there. Understanding that once it goes into the growth, now more competition's coming in because I'm selling more products and they want to get into this market because they said, George or Apple, you're doing real good on your tablets. So now we could come in there because there is a demand for your for a tablet, for lack of better words, and we'll offer the customer an alternative to your tablet. Okay, so then you look at different kind of pricing objectives. The next things you're looking at creating an image. Remember, if I start off with all the items within my store because of the brands that are lower end brands, a consumer is gonna look at my store and always look at that store as a medium type of store or a low end type of store. If you look at Kohl's, Kohl's is in the middle someplace. You buy everything at the high end, but you always, it's more of a discount. You always discount everything down, but you get to buy brand names at a discount price. No different than TJ Maxx. You have Macy's carries a lot of the brand names that TJ Maxx carries, but TJ Maxx carries the things at a discount rate because maybe that brand name, that type of style is no longer going to be carried. So I could get a brand name for a third of the cost if I would have went to like a Macy's or Nordstrom's or some of the high-end department stores. And then they'll have different pricing schemes. You look at the market price. You have to look value for your pricing. What is the customer getting? And you're looking at the customer. Are they value-oriented customers? So they're always looking for the bargaining. That's where bundling comes in. Your target costing cost, your cost-based pricing. Here's my base price, and I add a certain percentage, but that percentage shouldn't be higher than what the market price or the equilibrium price will bear from your consumers within the target market that you are selling this price. Always take a look at your break-even point. The break-even point in the pricing, whatever my pricing is, I have to have a break-even point. That means the break-even point, it pays for my utilities, my labor for the month, it pays for my rent and everything else. That's my break-even point. Once I make the break-even point, every item above that break-even point, other than the variable cost, is what starts coming into my profitability. Most businesses should be running, not at the beginning. At the beginning, you'll be losing money, and then you'll end up having 20% for every dollar will come into your profit. profitability or into your profit, after expenses. And then you should basically, for every dollar you spend, you should be receiving 50 cents back into some kind of a revenue or some kind of a profitability as the business goes up. That's a good ratio to know that your business is on target and your pricing scheme is fair, and it still brings back a return on the investment. Otherwise, why be in a business? If I'm losing money, if I'm only getting 2% on every dollar I put in, you might as well just put the money in the savings and work for somebody else. But if I'm getting 50% on a dollar, that's where I could start utilizing that money to expand my business, my product line, and start using that similar to a compounded return on my investments on a charge card or in an annuity. I will have a compound return investment on my business. As the business grows, my profitability should go bigger, and I'll have more and more customers. So that takes care of my pricing. The next chapter we're going to be talking about is on your distribution, chapter 15, distribution. Now, distribution is intermediaries, the wholesalers. Could I buy directly from the manufacturer, or do I have to go to a wholesaler, or do I basically, I am the manufacturer, and I do control the distribution. What you have to remember when I look at the channels of distribution, wholesales, retailers, and non-retailing stores, anytime I have someone else do something for me, they add a charge to it. So when I look at this whole thing, is if I, as a manufacturer, I buy from the manufacturer, so now I'm the middle person, so I'm buying by bulk, so I could reduce the cost, but now you're buying from me because you can't buy it at the costs that I could get it, but I'm still cheap, but it's still cheaper than you buying it directly from a store. So every time there is a middle person touching something in the distribution channel touching, that's a cost to me. The more I could control the distribution channel, the more I could contain the cost. If I look at Walmart, they have their own distribution channel. They sometimes even have their own manufacturing in different countries. They're like contract manufacturers for them. So they control all the process. That's why they could come in with the lowest cost, because there's no middle person. They are the middle person. They are from the beginning to the end, and they could contain that cost. Where me as an independent, I have to pay someone else to bring it to me. I'm a farmer. I produce it, but I can't bring it to the market, so I sell it to a wholesaler. He takes it and either refines it, does something, packages it, and now sells it either to another wholesaler or to different retailers. Okay, but the biggest part of this chapter, what you have to look is the utility or the economic concepts they call utility. You have your place. Is your place convenient? If it's convenient to your marketplace, so now you don't have to have a cost of shipping or everything else to your customers, you could contain the cost. And the customer's looking, hey, why should I go online? I could just go to George's retail shop. It's just around the corner. I could get it right now. He's convenient and he carries the products I need. And then you also have information. So my website is basically tells me everything about the product or the dimensions. So before I even go to George's place, I could see here's his price structure, here's a price range, and I could look at different stores other than George's to see, am I getting the best price? And bottom line is possession. Can I actually get the product, or how long do I have to wait? And all those different utilities goes through the customer's mind, and these utilities are also what you could put into your marketing and promotion. Hey, and that's what they do when we go to the next chapter, a couple of chapters, chapter 16, the promotion is they try to say, hey, get it right now. You don't have to wait. Buy it now, or it's going to go off sale. So all that works in possession, utility, time. You start using now instead of waiting 2 or 3 weeks. So take a look at that, and then you're looking at different forms of non-sales retailing. You're looking at the online. Even though I have a brick mortar, or some of you may be starting off strictly online and later on going into a brick and mortar, but if I have brick mortar, what can I put on a website that people who aren't in the geographic area, but if I could send it to him at a little lower cost, because I don't have to do the sales and everything else, and I could send it out to them by shipping, that opens up a whole new market for me. And And if I got a good website and a pricing scheme and certain things, a lot of times on the website, some things that your customers may not buy in a face-to-face store because the market that your geographic market it may not be such a high demand for, but maybe a bigger demand in another market, but you don't have a store there. So, but you have a web and online. So this way you could have two different kind of product lines. Some that you only sell online, others that you only sell in the stores because it's very geared towards that geographic market. And then you look at the logistics. You look at material handling costs. In a small business retail, you have very little logistics. If I'm a wholesaler and a retailer, something like Sam's or Costco's, they're both wholesalers. They sell to business retailers to a certain time, and afterwards, since the store is already there, let's make the money. And since we'll have regular consumers coming in, and we'll give them some discounts, a little cheaper, a little less expensive costs for the same kind of products they could purchase at Walmart or retail store, but here they're purchasing at a larger quantity. So that takes care of chapter 13 and 14. So this week, what do we have? If you read the chapter 13, 14, we have that. You're going to have one Learn Smart Connect covering chapter 14 or 10 points, and then you're going to have one interactive presentation from Connect. A little bit different. It's going to be kind of like a lecture, so they'll talk about the subject matter, then I'll ask you questions later. What I want you to do when you go through this into that the second forum, which is a water cooler forum, just respond to me. Hey, I kind of like this. So maybe I was trying to do so when you're doing online, I don't want to change it so much where it's difficult for you, but so you have a little interaction, a little variety, is to take care of different learning styles and improve others' learning style that may not be your dominant one. Okay, so we'll take care of that, and you have the two forms. Now, the first form you're going to have, it has three parts. I want to see three parts in your posting. Your first posting by Tuesday. Do not restate the question. Just label it, A, B, and C. So A, what makes your product different? In other words, what makes your product different from your competition? You can look on page 376. They'll give you some ideas if you're not sure what I'm looking for, and try to start using some of the verbiage and some of the concepts. Because remember, when you do your feasibility study, part of your feasibility study is some of your research. You have to notice, in citations, using APA citations. Here's where I received the search. If you're using Microsoft 2010, even 2007, when you look at top where it says references, you could go into the references and it says citations and drag it down to, it's usually, I think, defaulted as MLA, which is modern language citation, but in business we always use APA, which is American Psychological Association citation. So you click it on there and you say, hey, I've got this from a website, and it'll tell you everything to fill in. So it makes it real easy when you're writing the documents, especially for your feasibility paper. Okay, so we'll take that. The second part is what are you going to charge for your product? Now, you don't have to look at everything. So the way I want you to look at the charging for the product as you start out is a feasibility. Remember, every product line will have its own cost and expense and margin is in there. But for this paper feasibility, you're going to look and you're going to basically say, because when we're going to do the chapter 18, it'll make a little bit more sense. But you're going to think about it saying an average cost. If a customer walks into my store, what's the average amount he or she's going to spend? If I have a restaurant and it's for luncheon, the average amount may be anywhere between $7 and $8 for lunch, because they're in and out. If I have the same thing, so that's one product line, or is my luncheon meals, and I figure $8-10, and how many customers you think on a daily basis, and I multiply that times a month, and then they'll aggregate that up towards the year. So, but then my other thing is my dinners. My dinners are a little bit longer, they're a little bit more expensive, but customers are sitting a bit longer. So my dinners may range, and every customer coming in for a dinner may spend anywhere between $15 and $17, on a sit-down meal. And how many customers for dinner? Because they're going to sit longer for dinner because they're out there for dinner, so it's not a half an hour, they're not rushed. They may take an hour before they leave, but they're eating a little bit more and they're paying a little bit more. So that's, and then the last one, so that's two, and the last one is what kind of pricing strategy you're going to be using. Are you going to be using cost plus pricing? Are you going to be using penetration pricing? Are you going to be using competitive pricing? And if I look at competitive pricing, if the meal is $15 for dinner, and that's what I want to start charging 15. So I start working backwards. I want a 20% profit margin. Okay, so now how much expenses? What kind of products can I sell for this? And they'll fit into my image or into my complements the rest of my business. Or if I'm selling I'm a store selling a clothing line. Every customer comes in, it's a men's clothing. If I'm selling just if it's the teenagers, maybe they'll come in, maybe $50 is an average customer will spend. Or if I'm selling clothing for women, maybe it's $100, 75. You're taking your best guess, and then you just multiply it across, so you kind of have an idea how much revenue sales is going to come in, and then you can see how much your expense is going to be, and then you could adjust your pricing on that. So that'll take care of our forums. So you're going to have two connect, one Lunch Smart and one integrative presentation and connect. That's worth 20 points. The one forum is worth 20 points with 3 things on there. And then you're going to have another forum. Just a real quick forum. Just tell me if you have any questions on the feasibility, or just say I have no question. Remember, so your responsibility to follow the forums. And then you'll have only one quiz, and the quiz is going to be on chapter 14, and it's going to be still 10 questions, but each question is worth 2 points. So then what you'll end up with this week, you have a potential 65 points. Make sure you do the forums and the quizzes, and you'll have your 65 points, and it's also building on your feasibility plan. That's the paper that's coming forward. So that's about it for this week. I'll be able to see how you're going to come up with your pricing. And remember, when you post your pricing, give the other classmates ideas. I think your pricing is too high, or maybe you could cut your costs here, or your competitor's pricing is here, or give them some idea what I think your product makes your product different, to help them out. This is what we're doing. We're like a network, a virtual office. We all have different projects, but we all have to work together because we're underneath one umbrella of Management 111, online introduction to business. And then this week we'll be looking at the pricing and the distribution and utilities of my products or my services. So that's it for this week. You'll do well. My name is Dr. George Mochocki. This is Introduction to Business Online, offered by Harper College in Illinois. We're using in conjunction with course management system Blackboard and McGraw-Hill LearnSmart and Connect Integrative Software. So I'll see you in the forum, and have a nice day. Bye.